Read this out loud.
The spring.
What was it?
Paris in the.
Paris in the spring.
There's two dogs.
Read it again.
You're the only one that caught it.
Read it again. Paris in the spring?
It's the.
Yamindara Sakusan. Paris in the spring. How about this? Can you count how many F's are in here?
Hey.
Who counted 3?
How did you finish?
4?
Put it back.
All right. We're going to do this quick. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How many F's? 3,
I had 4. 6. I
6, 4.
I didn't.
We're all looking at the same thing. We all have studied English. We all can read, yet we can't see the 6. Our brains just don't pick it up. How can that be? Our beliefs are so perfect. 7.71 billion beliefs. Even looking at it, and you're looking for F's, you can't see it. Which way is this bus going? How many think to the right? How many to the left? Raise your hand if you think it's going to the left. How about to the right?
The door is on the other side.
90% of adults can't figure this one out, but most kids can. The key is that there's no door on this side, so the door must be on the other side, so it's going that way.
What if it's going in reverse?
Here, that's your answer for the reverse. More of these comments, social media. Our brain has over 200 known cognitive biases. Do people here know what that is? Do I need to read this? A cognitive bias is a systemic error in thinking that affects the decision and judgment that people make. Some of these biases are related to memory, observation, reasons, and they affect our decision making. The most common one is called confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is when you find people listening to information that they already believe in. And this has become very common in social media. We have our bubbles. We listen to our preachers, our politicians, and beliefs that we already believe in. So what happens is it just reinforces our beliefs rather than us being open-minded, learning, and picking up new information. If anybody here has ever been to a religious debate, you go see a Muslim debate an atheist. And what do you find? Half the room is a Muslim, half the room is an atheist, and yet at the end of the talk, both sides think that their leader won the debate. And they feel more validated, more reinforced in their belief. 7.7 billion people, and no two beliefs are the same. You can find this online, but if you wanted to study more about the cognitive biases, this is a really good thing, and you can see all the different kinds of biases. One common one that's being used right now in algorithms is in shopping and Amazon. They can, by putting things on sale, make you buy the item. This is Dr. Elizabeth Loftus. She's a cognitive scientist and a law professor who has studied memory for more than 40 years. Her focus unfolds mostly in the courtroom. So what she did is she studied over 300 people that were put in jail. They thought they were guilty. Some of them spent over 30 years in jail. And then when they did the DNA studies, they found that nearly 75% of them were innocent strictly because of the other person's observation. Somebody was an eyewitness and labeled them wrong, and they spent 10, 20, 30 years in jail because of somebody else's belief in themselves. So why is belief and questioning belief so important? I mean, we're affecting lives. We have genocides. We have depressions, abuse, religious fundamentalism. We have relationship issues. We fight with our kids. We have problems in our educational systems, all because there are varying different opinions and different beliefs. 7.7 billion people on earth, and not 2 believe the same thing, and yet 100% of us believe we're right. She says, if I've learned anything from my decades working on these problems, it's this. Just because somebody tells you something, and they say it with a lot of confidence, detail, and emotion, does not mean that it's really happened. We can't reliably distinguish true memories from false memories. We need independent corroboration. She said, what studies are showing is that when you feed people misinformation about some experiences they may have had, you can distort, contaminate, or change their memories out in the world. Misinformation is everywhere. Look at what's happening now in the media. Fake news, clicks, and everything else going on. So what is a belief? Is it nothing but a thought? When does it become a belief? And who gives it that energy to be a belief? A belief is just a thought. It's you. It's your brain that gives it the energy to make it into a belief. Nobody else. You can choose to go to that table and say, oh, hummus is disgusting. I don't believe in eating hummus. Or you can go to the tabbouleh and say, oh, I love tabbouleh. I believe every human being should eat tabbouleh breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Who made that up? You either picked that up from your parents, your preachers, your teachers, your mothers, your fathers, your grandparents, or you made it up. Belief is a thought that you give energy to. Yet scientists think that the average person thinks anywhere from 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, but yet we don't necessarily believe in them. We just choose to make certain things to be our belief. We identify with them. We name ourselves. I am a person from Detroit. I am a Muslim. I am a Christian. I am Palestinian. I am Lebanese. I am Indian. I root for the Lions. These are all shaped by our beliefs. We fight religious wars. We go into our families and we have Shia-Sunni conflicts, and I'm Irish and I'm British and I'm Chinese. Why? Because of a belief that we hold. Do you ever notice that you talk to yourself? Whose brain is talking to them right now? This is called your narrating brain. Most of our memories are formed by the narrating brain. We never really think about that. But right now you're talking to yourself. You're analyzing this conversation, and what your brain stores is not what you observe right now, it's what you narrate. And so when you go back home and you start to talk to your friends, your family about what you saw here, your narration of what happened is what gets stored into your brain, not what actually happens. Now, if I come over here and I tell Adnan a story, and he tells you a story, and he tells you the same story, by the time it gets back here, it's a different story. Yet, we store all these memories in our brain and we believe them. Scientists have studied our memory, and they found that over 50% of all our memories are flawed. We sit and we talk about believing something we saw at 3 years old or 7 years old or last week or what I saw yesterday. But 50% of those memories are flawed. We sit and we talk to ourselves. And we have an image of ourselves. That I am a doctor, I am this, I am that. And we see the world through the narrative that we have created. If you see yourself as a victim and that you're not good enough, when you go to work, and when you're with your spouse, and when you're in your relationship, you're going to see everything through those lenses. So are you objective? Are you rational? Are we as human beings rational or objective? We believe we are. We judge ourselves like we are. But how many people believe that we are rational? All of us. We operate in society as if we're rational. But yet the science doesn't show it. We make up almost everything that we see, everything that we hear. Our brain is limited. We have a lot of fallacies. Our eyes can only observe certain wavelengths. Our ears can only hear certain things. And yet, we all think we're perfect. We see the world through our lenses and through our narratives. And yet, we think we're right. We're objective. And we've created a society of self-righteous people. So what if everything we've ever known was a lie? How would we operate? How would we know? What if everything you've ever believed about yourself came from somebody else? Somebody made that up. What if you made that up? What if all your limitations, all your strengths, the way you feel about yourself, the way you feel in your family came from somebody else? How can you begin to change? This is my friend Greater Alexander. He said, "We are in a mental battle with virtual reality." This life is no more than a virtual reality. Everything we know is made up. Our institutions are made up. What's this? What is this? Is it money? It's a piece of paper that we agreed to count as money. Is that money? Or is this more money? Who made that up? Our governments are made up. All our systems are made up. Our laws are made up. Somebody made them up. It's when we believe in them, that's when it gives it its energy. It's because we agree that there are social constructs that we're all going to agree on and say this is money, right? If an alien species came and looked at us, we'd be like, what is this? Why are they trading paper? What is this? But the rest of our constructs are very similar. Our own governments only exist because we believe they exist. All our borders are made up. If you're walking from the border from Mexico to the US, there's nothing. Or maybe a wall. A very great wall. Oh, look, another one. I'm trash. Great. I hope I die today. Wow. Nice people. They believe. This is a chart of the number of people that have died in world wars and other wars. World War II was, the top winner. Over 70 million people. In all these wars combined, there's probably over 200 or 300 million people that have died. All because of belief. All because of the strong beliefs of leaders and ourselves. But nobody questions, what if I'm wrong? This number, 200-300 million, is not just the deaths. Look at how many other people would have been affected by that. Look at the mothers and fathers. Look at how many people have lost limbs and how the society would have been affected. Billions of people affected because of a belief. Yet nobody questions their belief. Even when they question and they change religion, they go from a Muslim to an atheist, now they're stuck in another religion. And yet we believe. Those who cannot learn from history are doomed to repeat it. We do not look at our history, and we don't know it. Oh, look, some social media. Can you play that with some? Yep. So we're moving forward. We have a new religion now. It's called social media. And this is?
So I'm just going to start talking about what I like and hope I get some replies. So I am a recent MBA grad from Villanova. I love cats. I just, sorry, I'm getting emotional. I love cats. I love every kind of cat. Sorry, I really love cats. And I just want to hug all of them, but I can't, because that's crazy. I can't hug every cat. But I just want to, I want to.
Some strong stuff she's on.
Yeah. This is what we're seeing now every day. These kind of things on social media. This is almost our new religion. Ayn Rand said, as a human being, you have no choice about the facts that you need a philosophy. Your only choice is whether you define your philosophy by a conscious, rational, disciplined process of thought and scrupulously logical deliberation, or you let your subconscious accumulate a junk heap of unwarranted conclusions, false generalizations, undefined contradictions, undigested slogans, undefined wishes, doubts and fears thrown together by chance, but integrated by your subconscious into a kind of mongrel philosophy infused into a single solid weight self-doubt, like a ball and chain in the place where your mind's wings should have grown. Gentempo says contradictions lead to destruction. The amount of destruction is relative to the contradictions. We sit here and we talk as if we're perfect, as if we're intelligent, we're doctors, we're learners, we're religious people. And yet, we hide the fact that we're all struggling inside, that there's real suffering happening in our society. Yet we don't sit and question our beliefs. We see the world through these lenses, but we ignore what's inside. We ignore what we see. We let our beliefs blind us to our truths. And yet we suffer, and we ignore, and we suffer, and we make other people suffer. We don't realize that when a person is out in the world screaming that they may have childhood issues, abuse issues, they're just unhappy, yet they're sitting and pushing the rhetoric, the politics, changing your life, making you miserable. Why? Because they don't want to question their own beliefs. They don't want to do the hard work of going inside. Technology is changing so much. In the last 10, 20 years, it's grown exponentially. Yet we haven't adjusted as a society. We haven't adapted the policies and procedures to adapt to ever-changing technology. So what's happening? It's creating conflict. People are tired. People are on social media being bullied left and right. They're being attacked. They don't know what to believe. You can make a fake documentary on YouTube in 2 seconds and people believe in a flat earth. We don't question our sources. We have no way of knowing what's right and what's wrong. And yet, we believe. So, this one's for you. Okay. We have the revolution in Lebanon right now, and this is our source here. Our knowledge source.
أنا وماي سيستر وابن أختي ودورة كنا نازلين نتظاهر واللي بعده قاعد ببيته غضبان عليه وحأزعل منك وحقطر كفين إذا بشوفك كلكم بدكم تكونوا بالشارع وين أي منطقة كنتوا كلكم
This is our new God. This is our reward system. This is what we believe in now. We've become consumers of our own self-images. We create social media profiles that are fake. We put our best of our best of our best pictures, and we put them on Instagram and Facebook, and we want the world to think, this is me. Yet deep inside, we struggle, we're miserable, and we take it out on everybody. You know? In the old days, people used to cheer on this as their heroes, became this, became these. And they all believe. And this is a result of us not questioning our belief. We've become extremely isolated. We no longer see other people in their humanity. We're blocked by a screen, and we've lost our empathy. Nobody in here thinks that there's somebody else on the other side with emotions, with families, with kids. We don't care who we hurt. We cyberbully left and right with no consequence. If this was done in school, they would punish them. They would have a system in place to handle the cyberbullying. Yet in our society today, we do nothing. This is okay. This is what we see every day. And yet we believe. In the old days, or even in the religious days, you'd find people with self-righteous behavior. They believe, I am 100% right and you are 100% wrong. These are some of the characteristics of somebody who we would consider a self-righteous person. Everybody here has one in their family. You might be one yourself. You think you're right and everybody else is wrong. But in the New Age, this absolutism, we see it in social justice, we see it in our politics, we see it everywhere. What is the basis for it? I am right and you are wrong. And yet we've moved to a direction where instead of looking at what's in front of us, we look at who is the loudest, who has attention, who has more likes,